This is the Climate Alarm Clock podcast, and still to come this week, we chat to Colm O'Regan about his upcoming stand-up show Climate Warrior. But now it's time to continue our Book of Leaves collaboration, so over we go to Ceara Carney.
Thank you, Dara, and hello, lovely listeners of the Climate Alarm Clock podcast. I am absolutely loving the work Dara and the team are doing here. It's just been amazing. And this week, I want to introduce you to another amazing person called Dr Una Fitzpatrick, who you may have heard of because it was herself and Dr Jane Stout that set up the All Ireland Pollinator Plan. And I've learned so much from chatting to her. If you want to listen to a little bit more about her journey and many more solutions and misconceptions about helping pollinators, check out episode 64 of Book of Leaves. But here is a little leaf that Una wanted to give us to add to our own way of living. So Una, can you share one of your suggestions, a leaf that people of the Climate Alarm Clock podcast could add to their own book?
Yes, one fantastic action is to plant a mini orchard. So orchards are good for so many different reasons. And in having a mini orchard, you really just need about 5 fruit trees, so it could be apples, pears, plums. And in having this little orchard, when the trees bloom, they provide food for pollinators and other insects. And they also provide climate benefits, as you know, you're planting trees. They provide, habitats for other biodiversity. And also they're a fantastic way, I think, to connect people back into nature. It's lovely to see apple. If you've ever looked at an apple blossom, it's just the most gorgeous flower. And, and then obviously, once they're pollinated, you get this fantastic crop of apples or pears or plums later in the autumn. So I think it's a really nice way for people to understand the circularity of nature, and how we need all the components of it. You can see the trees being pollinated and then you can see the results of that later in the year.
And so that people can see how long it takes to grow, because so much of it goes in the bin. And that.
Yeah, exactly. And, it's so easy to do. You don't need a huge amount of space to do it. And it's something I think that we would have always traditionally done. In the past there would have been so many farms, maybe so many towns or villages that would have had a little orchard, and we've lost all that. So it's really lovely to bring these kind of things back into the landscape again. And as I say, so many benefits that they bring. And what we can also do, obviously, is use them to collect data. So by just, observing those apple blossoms in spring and counting how many different insects visit, and we have a special scheme in the National Biodiversity Data Centre for that called Flower Insect Timed Counts. So you could do your flower insect time count on your apple blossom, watch it for 10 minutes and count how many insects are visiting and send that data to us, which is really valuable. We can see, what's happening then across the landscape.
That is so good to know, because when you initially said orchard, I was like, Una, I do not have that kind of land. Who do you think I am? But, imagining Bulmer's ads with fields of apple trees. But I really do. I long for the days where, neighbours have various fruit trees grown in their garden and we have to swap because everyone's ears are overflown with pears and apples and plums. So that's a great suggestion. Thank you. A mini orchard. No Thanks, Una. There you go. I hope if you have a little patch of grass somewhere in your life or in your family's land, maybe, that thinking of planting a mini orchard is something you can do, benefit pollinators and you. Free fruit. What is not to love? So again, if you want to check out the episode in full, check out episode 64 of Book of Leaves, where we talk about more solutions that we can all adapt to help pollinators. And again, don't forget to check out their website, pollinators.ie, because they have 186 solutions, depending if you're a farmer or you're in a school or you rent or you are in an apartment with just a balcony. There's so many things that we can do to help pollinators, and without pollinators there will be no us. So it's really important to help our little furry friends. And that is it for this week. Thanks so much for listening, and thank you to Dara and the team. Talk to you soon, guys. Bye.
Thanks, Ceara. And coming up on the final part of this week's show, we chat to Colm O'Regan.